How do you see the development of investments emerging from Islamic countries in your country?
Well, as you may know, Portugal and the Islamic countries have a long history in common. I mean, the first time that Islamic population entered into the Iberian Peninsula was in 711, and they've stayed for some centuries. So we have as I said, an history in common. That has been kept alive because we got excellent relationships with all those countries. And at a point in time, as we are now in Portugal, with some difficulties in terms of liquidity, our main banking institutions also facing problems in terms of accessing to the markets and so on. There has been an effort made by the authorities, by the government, but also by the private entities in accessing and approaching again our friends from the north of Africa or from the Gulf, in order to have them coming to Portugal, seeing the opportunities in Portugal, both in terms of investments, pure investments, or even investing in certain products. And therefore we see that investments coming from that area are probably something that we're going to increase in the near future. There is a defined policy from our authorities to look at the relationships with those countries, and we feel that is something that is going to happen.
How could your country government develop a Sharia-friendly legal environment to attract Islamic investors, and what are the regulatory issues and perspective?
Well, in that particular point, I think we are privileged because we have a very flexible legal framework, which, in our opinion, can in fact be adapted and adjusted to document most of the Islamic products, most of the way in which, for example, Islamic finance is carried out. So that would not really involve very much in terms of dramatic changes into our legislation. It would be more just a matter of having, let's say, intelligent lawyers adapting or using existing framework to the specific needs of this project so that they are Sharia compliant. There are perhaps more issues on the tax side. It's always more difficult, but even there, I don't think it would be critical. I think it would be, in many cases, there won't be any problem. The cases that would need some kind of refinement or change, that won't be very difficult to achieve. Because if the government understands, and they do, the importance of creating this friendly framework for this type of investment, whatever changes that are needed at the level of tax or the tax level, that can be quite easily achieved. Normally, we refine our tax laws every year when we approve our budget. So it is just a matter of technically preparing those laws and that framework. As I mentioned, the government is aware, is seeking to get our Islamic friends coming to see the opportunities they have in Portugal. I think we can fairly say that won't involve any significant change in law, perhaps a bit of nitty-gritty changes in tax law, but otherwise I think we are on a very good position.
Last question. Many corporations or companies in your country are anticipating investment in Arab and Islamic countries. What do you recommend them to do business or invest in the Islamic world?
Yes, to be true, there are several important companies and sometimes not so important companies that do have establishments and they work in the Arab world. In North Africa, for example, we have several companies that are doing business in Morocco, even in Algeria. For many years, we've got construction and design companies working for the Algerian authorities, Libya, Since Libya has opened, well, Libya now is in a difficult situation, but we hope everything will go to normal. But since Libya has opened more to foreign relations, we have had a very interesting presence there. For example, we have a bank that has got a significant participation in a local bank, and many other Portuguese banks are looking into that market. In fact, I know that currently there are at least a couple of banks that are making in-depth study for creating presences or at least having some kind of relationship with the Gulf countries and also with Turkey and, well, with the Islamic Arab world in general. What would I say? Of course, we think it's a very good opportunity. These are markets that are emerging markets that are not mature. In a certain way, the know-how that we have and that we have developed can be very useful for them to go and also be on a strong position when dealing in those countries. And again, I think we have also an advantage, which is the advantage that Portugal is a small country. So we are less likely to frighten our partners in business than other countries. We've got a tradition of being an open people, people that like to make friends. And so the experience, the cultural experience that we always encounter when we go abroad are always very good. And I think the sophistication that, for example, our financial sector has, together with our way to be, will be keys for the success I hope our banks and other companies may have when they decide, and I hope they will decide to approach those markets.